Well, let's begin what's trending with reactions trailing the 2.17 trillion naira supplementary budget submitted by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to the National Assembly, which has undergone review and approval following outrage expressed by many Nigerians.
Yes, it's Peace TV on today's episode, and practically we're talking about the recent trending news of today. Now, coming down to the recent statement made by the approval of 5.5 billion naira for the presidential yatch. And now the question here today is, we have over 100 million Nigerian citizens who are struggling with poverty, and all the presidency is thinking about is to buy a 5 billion naira yacht, and you call it a presidential yacht? A place that just one person is going to stay over 100 and something million poor people. That's actually selfish as far as I'm concerned, because at this juncture, I was thinking that the leadership has to do with selflessness. Yeah, and it should be about the people, not about yourself. It's obviously showing that this administration is kind of prebendal, and also showing that they are more of their own selfish interests, deceiving us with their manifestos and trying to tell us that the aim is for the people, is to uplift the people, to upgrade the economy. And at the end of the day, they steal and embezzle all the funds into their own pockets. But all the same, I would like you to watch the video on the next and also hear what he has to say connecting to that issue on ground. And also, please don't forget to follow us at Peace TV, like our videos, comment and share. Thanks for watching. It's Peace TV.
Well, on Thursday, Abubakar Bichi, the chairman of the House of Representatives Committee on Appropriations, told journalists that the budget of 5 billion naira for the presidential yacht has been transferred to student loans, bringing its total budget to 10 billion naira, eliciting more reactions.
As far as we are concerned, we don't have that percentage anymore. We have increased the student loan. If you can recall, student loan was 5 billion naira in the budget, but now we have increased it from 5 to 10 billion so that our students can be able to access that facility in order for them to go to school and to be affordable for them. This is the action.
So no more what?
Yeah, we don't have that yet anymore.
All right. Well, I guess what would I say? Kudos at this point. But, you know, Nigerians are going to react. This is from Brother Bath, who wrote, "Yacht budget to education budget, selling the dog and buying monkey. 1. It is now reported that the House of Rep has moved Tinubu's proposed 5 billion naira for procurement of yacht to education loan budget. 2. Each budget item must have been worked out with clear criteria. 3. One wonders the criteria for adding the budget for Tinubu's yacht to education loan, that the House of Reps just moved the money and left it for those in charge of education loan to work out how the new addition will be expended. Isn't this an opportunity for misappropriation? 4. If the House of Representatives was against the Tinubu yacht budget, just like Nigerians have widely expressed, why didn't they approve the budget with less than the 5 billion naira? Must the bottom line figure be retained? After all, this is a supplementary budget. 5. The decision is more like selling the dog and buying a monkey." Another Twitter user there, Akin, goes, "Why student loan? Was the budget a yacht loan? They should make it a grant that students don't have to pay back. The 5 billion naira for the most indigent students as grants, financial aid, and the remaining 5 billion naira for less indigent ones as loan." Finally, this Twitter user goes, "The more you look, the less you see. The budgetary magic. 5 billion naira budgeted for presidential yacht was moved to student loan, while the Ministry of Defense budget was increased from its initial 476 billion naira to 546 billion naira. That's a 70 billion naira difference. How many presidential yachts will 70 billion naira buy? It is called robbing Peter to pay Paul. But this regime even went as far as paying Silas and Saul. Ayo, of course, you know, these are very, very pertinent questions Nigerians are asking, you know, especially that 70 billion naira difference. I mean, what's that all about at this point? There needs to be more explanation on that. But also, you know, Bayo Onuga's tweet just falls flat at this point. He said it was an operational naval
vessel.
Which also got a lot of people reacting at this point because, I mean, if it was really for the Navy, why do they have to scrap it? I mean, we need defense, don't we?
We do. There are so many, what's it called, arguments or debates around this naval base. I'd earlier said that in other countries like the US and the UK, these vessels, the yachts, presidential yachts, the US was called the floating White House. Yes, it came under Navy budget, but it wasn't used for combat or used in the area of defense. It was usually ceremonial. So the justification by Mr. Bayo Ononuga is quite curious. Also, put that side by side by the justification by Senator Ali Ndume. In his own argument, he says it's because he had already been paid for, it had been agreed. So there's a contractual agreement that the vessel is ready to be delivered. It's just for us to pay.
Yeah,
so we're actually bound.
Said it. He said that it was ordered
the previous administration. So we're actually bound. So all these things we're saying, the thing is ready. They just need to deliver it to Nigeria, and we have to pay. We cannot renege on a contract that's already been agreed on and signed by a previous administration. That's where we find ourselves here. Unfortunately, some of the same set of members in the National Assembly today were in the previous assembly were the ones who also approved that amount of money to be paid to buy a presidential vessel. But going on to what he said about the 5 billion, I asked the question earlier that how did they arrive at the need for an extra 5 billion naira to go to the student loan? Usually there's a set of criteria. We've talked about the fact that the process for this student loan has been shrouded in secrecy. We only know that there's a student loan that is meant to come into effect in January of 2023. Some other provisions of the Act, Tertiary Education Act, has not been fulfilled. So how will that happen? What is the extra 5 billion naira there for, and how did they arrive at that exact figure to be included in the student loan? Are we just putting money all around, moving it around? Okay, you put it there. Is there a need for that? Then comes to the defense budget, the same questions we ask. When we asked Senator Ndume as to why it seems like it's a rubber stamp assembly, he said, because they had to pass it quickly. They had only 7 more weeks for the president to spend this money. What is urgent about the vessel, the presidential fleet? What is urgent about defense adding 70 billion naira? You have about over 400 billion naira added to that. When most of these, in fact, all of it is going to be from borrowing. And we talked about the fact that borrowing in itself is not bad. Economies around the world, nations around the world borrow. It is what the money is going to be used for. Unfortunately, this is not justifiable, at least in terms of the details of what the reason. And I do feel that this National Assembly is not doing its due, is not carrying out its functions in terms of truly checking the powers of the executive.
There needs to be a clear criteria. That 5 billion naira added to the student loan, like the other Twitter user said, should also, even if it's been added, let it be a grant to students, the lowest of the bottom students, to be able to go to school.
So concerning all of this, it just shows the confusion that happens in Nigeria. And when you try to peel through the layer, you see more confusion. Reminds me of Fela song, Confusion, Break, Ibono. Yeah, but that's what's going on here. Take, for instance, we had a senator come here and say something that shocked me. And I quipped a bit. That when they send forward the request for the cars that they want to buy in the presidency, they don't even look at the make and all of that. And I'm asking, so you approve monies just like that without asking the make of the car? Is that where we have become as a nation? If you are to have a line item, aren't you supposed to state, even if it's Innoson or Nord or Nissan Datsun, are you supposed to state the cars the president wants to use?
Absolutely.
So it speaks volumes about our budgeting. I think we need to introspect and have real questions. And I think the matter of all of this, yacht, is another indication that something needs to be done about our budgeting system. And honestly, Audrey, I'll submit to you, because I know we have one for time, that our leaders feel this country is all about a joke. And the better they start fearing the people, the better it's going to be for them. Because if you don't have that, you just go on and do all sorts of things. All of a sudden, you earmarked, like Ayo said rightly, 5 billion for a particular project, which was based on your empirical plan. Then the next thing, you just add another 5 billion. Is that how we do things? So if you are not going on with the yacht, can't it be withdrawn from the initial cost on the budgeting
No, I want to
system?
advocate for student loans and student grants at this moment. I applaud that move. I'd love the fact that the student loans are increased at this point, because that's where it should have, that's how it should have started. Whatever criteria that they would use
there's something
you know,
called...
break it down, they should do that. We need to advocate for student loans at this point.
I'm sorry, I'd like to disagree with you, Oji. Right. There's something called cost accounting in finance. You account for your costs to the very letter. If we want to have student grant, it's another conversation entirely.
That is why I said there should be a breakdown.
But as regards this money,
yeah.
if you don't have use for it again, it's best you withdraw it.
No, they said they want to put it to the student loan. So, I mean,
that's what I have a problem with.
Very important. It's very important we advocate for that, for education. And that's where they should have, that's where they should have put the money first, instead of all of these yacht, 1.5 billion for the office of the First Lady, which we have all discussed.